Alrighty, we're recording now. So, this is going to be J-Vlog number 2, super original name, that's what I'm calling these. Short for Joey Vlog. In case you're wondering, this is Mantic Button Gaming. Gotta get the brand on point, I guess. Just filmed this after the first one, actually, but I won't be going up live till tomorrow. Ooh, spoilers. Made some mistakes on the first one. Number one, going on a walk, terrible idea. Going on a walk in a suit, also very terrible idea. Going on a walk without hydration, also terrible. And then going on a walk without the gel in my hair so I could actually see where I was going, also really terrible idea. Just got out of the shower, don't want to style it up. But not the best idea on that one. So, alrighty. I told you I was going to talk about narrative play, and as you're reading the title, because I probably made it something super clickbaity, you're the problem. Nope, you. Person watching is the problem, not Games Workshop. Games Workshop's also the problem, but let's talk about the failures of narrative in 10th edition, which sucks because I'm like a predominantly narrative guy. Yeah, competitive play sometimes, but competitive play also gets really into the whole talked about in the last 3 Vindicators, 3 Ballistas Dreadnoughts, Gilliman, Incursors, and then 3 other Cooper 80-point Space Marine units. Sucks. That's a lame list, but that's kind of the mindset people are in right now, and that's not realistic for 99% of the people to try to achieve. Who actually went out and bought 3 Ballistas Dreadnoughts? Unless you were the one Space Marine player, the swarm of Tyranids players who bought the launch box and was just getting the other half of that box for dirt cheap, in which case, okay. But still, man, that sucks, right? That's lame to play against. So, then we get into the second problem of, well, what even is narrative play, and everybody has a rough idea of what narrative play is, and then we have stuff that's trying to be narrative play but not really succeeding at. So let's talk about Crusades. Nobody plays Crusades. If you do have a group that plays Crusades, awesome. My group meets up once a week to play, and we got 3.5 hours. So that typically means you get 140k of 2,000 points in. So about 2 hours or 2.5 hours, depending on how the game's going. Because sometimes we don't take super serious. Oh no, we have some very competitive players there, but not where the point where it's not fun to play, where it's oh man, you showed up all the good units. No, but they take the game seriously, and it's nice to play against. But at the club, it definitely feels like a lot of people are really itching for that narrative style, right? And for whatever reason, people just don't jump on it, right? Where it's narrative's a lot of fun, man, right? So what is narrative? Narrative's the idea that you aren't walking into the list with 3 Vindicators, 3 Ballistas, and you're actually building a thematic list, and then you're playing that list thematically, right, in a sort of narrative, more structured game. So think more the White Dwarf missions or the Crusade missions than the typical, everybody starts X amount apart because it's fair, everybody gets this many objective points because it's fair, right? Think more the Battle for McCrag, which is a free mission available online if you want to play it. It's on Warhammer Community. There's a couple of these, right? There's the Battle of Grya, that's Space Marine 1, right? They have a mission for that. And your Warlord gets a cool bonus if he's in the area. I was looking at an ant, sorry. You get a cool bonus to your Warlord if he's inside it's a sacrifice area or something, or a ritual area that's 6 inches. And if he's in there, he gets a 4-up and feel no pain. And it's 4 turns or something. I can't quite remember the rules, but that's more what the narrative is, where it's not exactly this is the mission meant to be competitive. It's even if they do start off on both sides, they typically focus a little bit more on asymmetrical missions, or missions with modifiers. And Kill Team gets this really well. And then 40k not so much. So the problem is if you don't put it in the book for players, it's it doesn't exist, right? And then they put it in a bunch of Crusade books and then a bunch of White Dwarf articles with all the really cool missions, right? And some of these are really cool missions. There's one I picked up, a White Dwarf had a mission where you can deploy dudes in structures. You pick a structure, your opponent picks a structure, you pick a structure, so on and so forth, in the middle of the board, right? Or in your home field objective. It has to be a structure, and you can set units up to start in there. So it kind of gives your guys free. Dog barking. I'm sorry, dog barking. Oh gosh, he's going for it. But it gives your units like free infiltrate, which is really cool, and you only score points if your dudes are in the building at like the end of the game or something. Or I might be restoring that. I think it's like every turn that like you don't have a dude in the building and the enemy's in that building, right? So it's actually like really fun. But that's in a white dwarf, and like outside of weirdos like me who buy those, right? So people buy the main book, and if they got the Leviathan box set, then they got the extra narrative missions, and they're all right. They aren't nothing to write home about. And then those narrative missions are really meant to be used in a crusade, and nobody plays crusade because crusades, like, once again, we have like 3.5 hours. You get like one game in, right? And like honestly, narrative games would probably be better at like 500 to 1,000 points, but 500 to 1,000 point games aren't balanced properly. So you know, that's the second reason why nobody plays those. So there's like a ton of really cool crusade relics and stuff. Nobody uses them because nobody plays crusades, because crusades are meant to be played over like, my crusade was like 15 games, and if we're doing that, then that's like 4 months or something if you're playing one game a week. And most of you weirdos out there play like 1 game a month, and it's like, dude, right? And then you see the other people online, it's like, oh, I haven't even played a single game, I'm still building my army from the Leviathan box, and it's like I work full-time, like, I get people who got, like, kids, okay, so, like, maybe they're a bit more excusable, but if you're a loser like me who only works full-time, like, what else are you doing, man? I still have time to hang out with my friends and everything. It's not that hard to put an army together, right? It'd be even easier if it was only, like, 1,000 points, which is, like, the second thing, like, we need to make narrative games not only just easier to get into, right, we also have to support it. That's the second one. Like, seriously, guys, like, there's a ton of cool rules scattered through all these books. You just gotta ask your buddy, like, hey, you want to play the super easy to set up narrative? Because, like, the narrative games aren't hard to set up. It's, like, 2 objectives, and then this is the special rule for the mission. But people just don't, because it's just easier to open up the Match Play app and do that. And, you know, even though it's not a whole lot easier, you just gotta carry the book, or the single White Dwarf page. But that's kind of what we're looking at. And then the third part is Games Workshop has done like a really bad job. Like, it's not in the core book. Like, open play is in the core book, and open play is literally just 5 objectives and kill each other, and then the basic mission deck. And they made enough of the Leviathan mission deck, and then the Pariah Nexus mission deck they didn't make enough of. And then in the new mission decks, the mission deck 2024, 2025, because I guess they couldn't just be asked to name the damn thing, they dropped the ball on that one and didn't produce it, but they actually put in like a lot of narrative support in that, where they had a ton of asymmetrical missions, and they had like the mission rule mix-ups with like the 3d6 charges. I played a game on that. That was fun, right? So like stuff like that, and like you could just choose to just use the one that gives you 3. Just pick 3 really cool ones and have a really fun game, and that's super easy because it's, hey look, I have the mission deck, you know, and then because it's physical, it's very easy to get the other person to do it. But then they didn't produce any, and then they got scalped to hell, and we aren't going to be able to get those till the end of the edition. Thanks, Games Workshop, for not producing the cardboard. Like, seriously, it's cardboard. Like, which is just another Games Workshop thing, is like, man, they don't produce enough, and then everything gets scalped, and they're like, oh, well, the special edition codexes we're going to crack down on, but not the basic, this is how you play the game cards. Like, that's a core fundamental part of the game. Jesus. And then the core rulebook doesn't have any narrative missions. It's in the Leviathan book, but if you didn't start the edition with the Leviathan box set, you don't actually have access to those, and then you have to go buy like a Crusade book, which is more focused towards Crusade play, which, as we already talked about, takes forever to play because they're meant to be like, you're meant to be like playing like 3 games. And I'll be real frank, I work most of the days I go to play for my club, right? So we get like 3.5 hours. It's a nice space, and then we do that. And I don't have like a club where I can go and I can play like for the whole day, right? Which is what I think they imagine you to do. But now we live in a world where clubs are dead, right? And that sucks. So I don't have the chance to do that. So all of a sudden, like, let's say hypothetically, we make Crusade games like 500 to 1,000 points, and I know that you don't get to bring everything, right? But like, you get like a half-decent amount of stuff with 500 to 1,000 points. No, thinking though, it's like 2 tactical squads, a command squad, and like a dreadnought's like 500 points. And then if you go up to 1,000, like, think twice that. Like Gladiator Lancer, 2 more squads, infantry, and other like Terminators or something. That's a fun force, right? And then you could play like, you know, 2 matches, right? Because theoretically, like, if you're good, like, 1,000-point game should only take, like, an hour, right? Especially if you have easy deployment, like, when you're, like, picking each and everything, but, like, if you have, like, a basic, like, this is your 2-part campaign, if the opponent wins, they go to this, if the opponent loses, they go to that, right? Like, Kill Team. Kill Team has fantastic narrative. What I'm saying is that they should probably call it the Kill Team, but, like, if you can get, like, an hour and a half game in, and then play a second hour and a half game, then all of a sudden it's not impossible for you to, like, actually do a crusade that lasts, like, you know, I don't know, 8 missions, and then that's, like, roughly a month worth of playing, and then you have your crusade. Because, like, there's a lot of, like, bookkeeping with a crusade, which is kind of, like, the second part that's, like, kind of really limits it. Whereas if they kind of just removed the bookkeeping and just said you can have all these extra dumb, stupid enhancements to give your characters and, like, units and stuff, and, like, just give it, like, a power level. I mean, I know everybody hates power level because, like, power level sucks, but, like, this is the dumb, stupid narrative thing. So, like, all of a sudden having, like, you have a power level of, like, 7, right? And that means that each one of your dumb little enhancements costs 1 point, and then you can split them up. Each unit would have, like, each infantry unit could have, like, one of these 6 enhancements, and if you bought the Space Marine book, here's some extra special exclusive enhancements for Ultramarines and whatnot, generic Space Marines. So, like, your Sergeant can get the Artificer Power Sword, that's, like, damage 3, AP 3, because my Intercessor Sergeant has the big sword, you know, right? Like, but is that really gonna, like, change much, that my Sergeant can stab a dude really good? Probably not, right? And then you can have your Captain have super Artificer armor or something stupid. 2-up save, 5-up feel no pain, 3-up invulnerable save or something dumb, right? And I think that'd be fun, right? Like, it's not like anything like, oh no, his Captain's now harder to kill. You know, it's like it's a narrative game, right? Like, who cares, right? And I think that's the other thing, where it's like we've gotten so, like, it has to be balanced, right? And on one hand, it does have to be a balance, right? Like, look at AdMech. Like, holy Christ, nobody wants to play AdMech, right? AdMech sucks. Hashtag AdMech sucks, right? Just awful. On the other hand, right, nobody... Like, also, like, the other... Like, Eldar at the start of the edition, and Necrons were getting pretty up there in, like, the bull malarkey factor of, like, wow, yeah, that was how you decided to have the game at launch? Jesus Christ. Anyways, point being, like, guys, really, you know? So balance is important, but having a mission where, like, knife fighting's on isn't the end of the world, right? You know? Like, have a small 2-mission campaign set for 500 or 1,000 points where you get to have some dumb enhancements on your unit. Like, oh, my unit has +1 to hit, and that's, like, I gave them, that's one of my 7 things I can use. Or I can stack 3 things on a captain and have a super roided up captain would be fun, right? Like, I'm not the only one thinking this, right? Because I know a lot of people are talking about how they used to do older editions where, like, your dumb guy could have up to, like, 100 points. I went on, like, a list building site, and I built, like, a 3rd edition Space Marine list, and, like, all my sergeants had, like, 50 points of war gear, and my captain was just decked out with stuff. And I was like, man, this would be so much fun to play with, right? And we don't have that, because it's fun to give your special dude some special stuff. It's, like, that's common sense. Or, you know, like, just my unit has melt-the-bombs. They get to use melt-the-bombs instead of their close combat weapons if they're fighting vehicles. You know, that's fun, right? And it'd only be for narrative play, or, like, crusade play, because we're redoing crusade play, because I know there's some people out there who actually get to, like, play the whole crusade and, like, level up their dudes, and that's cool, right? But it's a lot of bookkeeping, and it's like 2,000 points is typically like a 2-hour game if you're going at, like, a decent pace, right? I know some people can finish 2 hours faster, but 2 hours faster than 2 hours, brain don't work good. But, like, 2 hours is about average. 2.5 hours is about average for, like, your normal, I'm going to the club to play with my friends, right? Not, I have a timer and we're playing competitively and I gotta get through, like, 5 games today for my tournament, right? That's played at a different speed, right? But playing with your friends is about like 2 to 2.5 hours for a 2,000-point game. If you both know the rules and you're both super competent and like you both understand what each other's army supposed to do, and that's a lot easier to do, and you can get faster if it's 1,000, like 500 to 1,000 points, and like 500 points would be like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 options, and then 1,000 points would be 7 to 8 options of like extra nonsense, and then you would draw like a random mission card. Or not like a random mission card, like I guess like a random special effect thing, like knife fighting is like on this mission, or not even like knife fighting, just like psychic powers are better. Or we don't have psychic in this edition, but like you get what I'm talking about. Like you draw a modifier, and you'd have like a very basic, you know, the enemy launched an assault at night, and the enemy are the Ultramarines, and then your opponent or you, whatever, are the orcs, and you're defending your camp, right? They have to have by the end of turn 4, they have to have more objective control on the, like, sort of like towards the back end of the board. It's like an objective or something. It'd be like easy. And then if the Ultramarines don't, then the Ultramarines on the next mission have to perform a retreat, or if the Ultramarines did succeed, and then they can force the orcs off the board. Like the orcs have to escape off the board. You know, it'd be like it literally just be reversed. Like whoever won or lost would become an attacker defender, right? And then depending on how you do it, like you could make the attacker have an easier time, the defender have a harder time, depending on whether the orcs or the Ultramarines won or something. I don't know. It's like really easy stuff to do, right? Or don't. And it just flips who is to the guy. And then you write down at the end of the thing what your if you want to do like further narrative crusade play, which you really don't need to. But like just like having basic stuff like that in the core rulebook of like here's like super easy 2 or 3 mission campaigns, right? That are narrative focused, and here's a ton of like dumb generic narrative enhancements, and then you get more when you buy your book, right? I don't think that's like there's 3 for infantry, there's 3 for tanks, there's 3 for captains. Well, my roommate came out, so I'm probably going to be ending the video now. But point being, narrative play needs help.